Hey, how's it going, gang? Got a pretty fun update for today. Got up in the morning, had a pretty busy agenda for the afternoon, and hopped on Marketplace, just kind of looking through, and came across a car that's very dear to me. It was technically my first car I ever purchased, and it was a 1987 Mazda RX-7 GXL. And awesome car, loved it. Things came over time and I had to let it go. And today I ran into exactly the same car and the same trim, the same year and everything. The only difference is the color. So it popped up. I contacted the seller first thing, just to make sure it wasn't some sort of a scam, and got his phone number, called him up, talked to him, and it was an elderly gentleman. Seemed very legitimate. So I just kind of made plans to hop out to a place about 50 minutes away from where I'm at. And before all that, I had to go through some financial gymnastics to make things work. So I already got some plans for the car, things that I wanted to do on the first one that I purchased. And that includes some of the convertible tail lights, which are the round tail lights for this generation of the car. And then little things here and there. Probably want to replace the stock seats, which are cloth, with the leather seats, which is what I had on my first car. If that's not feasible or is going to be too difficult to find, I'll just look into getting those reupholstered, which may be the only alternate option. So outside of that, as far as the condition goes, I would say it's in excellent condition for the year. Obviously you're going to see blemishes, little dents, scratches and things like that on these types of cars. Very little to no rust on the body, just some on the sunroof and a little patch in the wheel wells, so that's something that I'll take care of. And then little dents kind of scattered throughout the car and the hood and some fenders and whatnot, nothing major. But overall, this thing is in excellent condition. It's got almost 82,000 miles, which is very sweet. And the owner, I think he's the second owner of the car, but kept it in really good condition. You can tell that he took care of it. And I could tell that he was a little sad to let it go, which is natural for any of us car guys. Whenever we sell any one of our toys, it's very difficult to let those things go. But I think he was kind of glad to see that it was going into good hands. So I will be taking care of it. It's nothing that I'm going to be flipping, reselling, or anything like that. It's a car I'm going to keep. Got a lot of fun memories on my first car. So this is a very sweet day. So very special. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's do a walk around, and then I'll take it for a quick spin and go from there. All right, so here it is. Again, 87 GXL is the trim. This is the interior. Just gave it a nice little vacuum a second ago. The seats are manual. Let's go ahead and slide those back. It's got the stock floor mats. What's hiding out in the back is the little cubby seats. Push that back. Oh yeah, it's already locked in. Perfect. All right, so that's the interior on the passenger side. Very clean. Let's close this up. Walk around. Those are the GXL wheels. Typically what you're gonna see are the GTU wheels. It's the stock ones that have the little round holes, and I think Mazda tried to do an imitation of the Porsche 944 wheels, but never liked those. I always loved these. Overall, I've had 3 RX-7s. Actually, I take that back, 4 RX-7s. The first one was the 87, which is blue. I'll pop it up on the screen now. Then a little bit later down the road, I purchased a black GTU. That was in Virginia Beach when we lived there for a short period of time. And then what happened is that it ended up getting stolen and the clown that stole it did not know how to drive a stick, so he blew out the transmission. And I had to source another RX-7 at a local junkyard just for the transmission, so I could swap those things out. So that makes it the third RX-7. This is the fourth RX-7 I ever owned. All right, so walking around. All right, I've got the flip up lights. We'll play with those in just a second. Let's take a look at the driver's seat. On the driver's seat, you have the controls to pop over the hatch. Let's go ahead and do that. And pop over the hood. Let's go ahead and sit down. All right, so this is the cockpit of the second gen RX-7. Gotta love that radio, right? Talk about retro. It's exactly the same one that I had in my first car. So very cool. The status messages or whatever you see, check engine and other lights, are going to pop up usually right there in the display. The controls for the lights are here. So this is to turn on the lights. So this is an interesting one. This is to turn on the lights with the lights on. This is to pop up the lights without having your lights turned on, which is kind of, always thought it was kind of funny. I think this is a GXL steering wheel. On the GTU, they look slightly different. So again, I only seen this layout on the GXLs. It could be in other packages, but so far out of the 4 that I've owned, I only see them on this one in my first car. We'll start up in just a second. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the car. So yeah, the bucket seats, if we pop this back, you see the bucket seats, you definitely could not fit any normal sized person in there. Absolutely no room for your legs, but it is pretty cool that they have those. In my first car, I did not have this. I had little storage buckets on both sides of where the seat is right now. So this is kind of an interesting new addition. Okay, going back, we have the rear wiper built into the glass. You flip this up, stock antenna, you turn the radio on, it pops out. So this is what that looks like. All right, let's close this up. Let's go take a look under the hood. And this is pretty interesting. When we pop this out, where are you? There we go. There we go. All right, so this is under the hood, and when you first open this up, that looks pretty bad, right? It looks like rust and whatnot. I knew exactly what this was, and you know what it is? That yellowish stuff, that orangey looking yellow stuff, that there is cosmoline. So somebody, whether it's the previous owner or factory or whatever it might have been, they spray the inside of the car with cosmoline, and when it dries out, it leaves that substance, which is pretty much wax. It's made for protection. So if you spray it with something like brake clean, it will clean right off. And I'm familiar with it because that's the same stuff that I use to treat the underside of my trucks for protection purposes against rust and corrosion and whatnot. So that there is not rust, that there is cosmoline wax. So sometime later down the road, we're gonna spray that off with brake clean, because that's the only thing. It has to be petroleum based to remove it. Nothing else will touch it. So there's that. All right, let's close it up. Okay, let's go ahead and start it up. If you know anything about second gen RX-7s, and actually any rotary cars, but in this particular case, second gen RX-7s always had a flooding problem. They tended to fix that somewhat on the RX-8s. In the RX-8s, if you open up the manual, the first thing you're going to see, you know, when you go through and then, you know, when you start reading the section around flooding, they build a mechanism into the starting device. And the way that if you do end up flooding the car, pretty much means that you're starting and it doesn't start, it just turns over. That means that it's flooded. And second gens had a problem with that. But in the RX-8s, they fixed that by putting in a little device. And what you're supposed to do is before you start the car, you would hold down the gas pedal, okay? You would crank it, clear out any excess fuel that may be causing the flooding. And then you would let go of the gas pedal after that, and then try again, and it would start right up. So that was documented procedure on the RX-8s. On the RX-7s, the second gens, they did not have that. So there's some other mechanics that you got to do to kind of prevent the fuel from being flooded into the combustion chamber. So this one earlier today fired right up. I expect it to fire up again. There she goes. So that is what a stock RX-7 sounds like. And these cars are very interesting. The rotary engines in these, it is extremely smooth, very, very smooth. And I think it's just attributed to the design, right? There's no pistons, there's no counterweights, a lot of less mechanical components that go into the motor itself. No valves or anything like that. So because of that, I think there's only maybe 4 or 5 moving components in the entire engine. So that leads to a much higher rev line, as well as it being extremely smooth through the entire rev line. With that, so let's go ahead and take it for a spin around the block, just to kind of give you an idea of how it drives and what it sounds like. A few little rattles and squeaks are happening right now in the car. I'll be taking care of those. Again, that goes to my mod list of things I would want to do to this thing. But right now I'm just kind of enjoying for what it is. So let's hop into first. Let's go around the block. Love the shift up light, so it kind of guides you on when you should be shifting for optimal fuel consumption. Just hilarious. Out of here. So there you have it. 30-plus-year-old car. Drives like it just came out of the lot yesterday. So I love it. The only thing is that the transmission is a little sloppy. Again, kind of typical for the second gen RX-7s. They had a lot of issues with the synchros, so the synchros would begin to grind. I don't even think that they solved that problem even with the RX-8s. So that's something that eventually we'll take a peek at, you know, along with all the other maintenance things like the brakes, the suspension. We'll take a peek at the transmission as well. But again, it's very drivable. It reminds me a lot of my first car, which is super cool. go ahead and flip the lights on real quick, just for fun. Ah, yes! Flip up lights. They're winking to you. Alright guys, that wraps up the fun for today. If you enjoyed this video, hit like down below and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Thanks.